Scott, you have a new champion. Pretty impressive performance by Juliana Velasquez. Kind of give me your take, and how does it feel to have her representing you, on the banner with the belt and everything?
Yeah, I mean, we've been watching her for a long time, followed her, have her fight here. She is an amazing fighter and a dangerous fighter. And I think what you saw today ended up being a technical fight because, Ilima was moving away from her power, moving to her left. Juliana's trying to chase her down, and Lima's going for the takedown, and she got caught a couple of times. But at the end of the day, I think that she did win the fight, and fair and square, and she did what she had to do. And the nice thing is I really like fighters that are martial artists, and I feel that, Juliana will be a good champion for Bellator, and she'll do a lot of great things, not just inside the cage, but outside the cage as well. So very happy and proud to have her as our champion.
And on the flip side of that, you talk about martial artists. It seemed like I think you were here to hear Ilima-Lei's comments afterwards. What do you take away from that? A champion that just lost their belt to kind of have that attitude of like she said, relief and kind of optimism going forward.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, there's a certain amount of stress that comes with being the champ, right? Because everybody's coming after you, and you're on top of the mountain, and here comes everybody trying to hunt you down. And so, that pressure is going to be gone. But I know she'll be back, and she'll come back strong. She's a great fighter, great talent. She's been great for us. And, it wasn't her night. It didn't work out. And that's just how the chips fall in this business.
The co-main event, Magomedov, one of your big signings that you made recently, looked really good. Dominant performance against a tough guy. What kind of addition did you see to the bantamweight division tonight?
Yeah, I mean, that guy is he is a beast. I mean, he's going to be dangerous for anybody. I'm sure Juan Archuleta and all the other 135-pounders were watching tonight, and they're going to have their hands full. This kid is amazing, and he hasn't fought in a couple of years. So this one under his belt, I'm sure he'll be calling next week looking for another fight, and we'll try to get him back in there as soon as possible. But he's going to be a dangerous, contender in that division. So I'm excited about that.
So we talk about 135 on the rise, women's 125 on the rise. After seeing what happened tonight, is there any specific way you're leaning? I know we've talked a lot about the tournaments recently, but did either of those fights twist your arm one way or another?
I'll tell you, I think we have some choices here, but I think that everybody is in contention as far as what weight class. I think we have 2 or 3 different divisions. We just haven't decided yet. We'll probably announce something in January or February, but we have a little bit of time because, we have the Sanchez Pitbull fight, sometime in the first quarter of next year. Then we'll have the finals of the tournament, AJ versus the winner of those two. And then, so we have, 3, 4, 5 months. So we have time to figure it all out, and we'll do the right thing.
And do you think we'll get some sort of 2021 event scheduled in the next couple of weeks? Is that kind of the plan?
Yeah, I think that we'll probably have something either late this month or maybe early next month. But, we're scheduled to do our normal amount of events, and it's just how we're going to schedule what night we're going to go. And, we'll figure all that out. But it's, there's a lot of movement, but good movement. And I think we have a lot of exciting things to announce early next year.
And will it likely be back here at Mohegan, do you think?
I mean, listen, this is our home for now. And, I honestly, as much as I love it here, I can't wait to go back out on the road and start selling tickets and, and doing fights in big arenas with people in the building. Because as great as this event was, because from top to bottom, I think we had some amazing fights tonight. And it just, it still feels a little bit different to me than having a full crowd and full arena, full of people cheering. So I'm looking forward to that and getting back to that as soon as possible.
I want to ask you too, a lot of people are on Twitter were talking about DAZN and what happened with that going into this event, especially Canada. It seemed like a lot of Canadian people were asking me to ask you where they can watch Bellator now. And can you give us any update on what's going on with DAZN and just that whole thing?
Well, I think we're just trying to figure it out, with them. And I think we have something scheduled to have a conversation with them. But, we definitely have some things to figure out moving forward.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's it for me.
All right, we'll take a few more here. Mark, go ahead.
Hey, Scott. First of all, kind of give me your thoughts about the way that Lima reacted in her loss. It seemed like she was very respectful of losing the championship to a gal like Juju. Tell me a little bit about your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, I think they were both emotional. I think that, Juliana as well. I mean, they were both emotional, and she started crying. Juliana started crying in the cage, and I think that Ilima really was touched by the respect that she was given by the new champion, and I think that's what you were seeing in the cage.
And right now, I think there's going to be a lot of free agents coming into 2021. Tell me kind of your thoughts on that, and the idea that you're probably going to have a lot of fighters that you could possibly sign in 2021 to make some exciting cards. Tell me a little bit about that.
I'll tell you, we're going to pick and choose the fighters that we bring into our roster because, I said this for the last, 2-3 months. It's like we're very happy with our roster. And we have a roster that I think from, all the different weight classes, we have fighters that are, world-class fighters, some of them ranked in the top 10. I believe that we have some of the best fighters in the world. We have the best 205-pound weight division, arguably the best 145-pound weight class, and the 135. I mean, I think we're doing a good job building our talent, and then sprinkling in a few agents. I mean, we just signed Rumble Johnson. That's something that I think is going to be a great addition to our 205-pound weight class. Now we're going to mix it up and put these guys into some great matchups that people want to see. I mean, I'm really looking forward to having AJ come in here and start rumbling, because I've always enjoyed his fighting style. He's not a guy that likes to lay and pray. He's going to bring it, and people in that division, I know that they're taking notice, and I hope they're ready.
Gareth?
A very good morning, Scott, from London. Gareth Davis here. The event looks fantastic on Sky Sports. I agree with you, and obviously on the YouTube, Bellator YouTube tonight. You now have Pitbull at featherweight and lightweight, Douglas Lima at welterweight, Chris Cyborg at featherweight, Juju Velasquez at women's flyweight. 5 Brazilians as champions. Is there a thought, or has there been, going into this event, if Juju won this, that it might be worth doing an event in Brazil at some point?
I'll tell you, Gareth, we have plans to go to Brazil. The thing that shut this whole thing down was the COVID when it hit. We have strong following in Latin America, and Brazil has a tremendous fan base of mixed martial arts practitioners and fans. So we were looking forward to going. We were planning it. We were starting to build an infrastructure there. And then when COVID hit, it just kind of stopped everything. So here we are almost a year later, right? Which I never thought it would take this long, but here we are a year later. And, I'll be happy when we go back to London and throw a fight, or Dublin and throw a fight. But definitely plans to go to Brazil at some point. We have a great TV partner there, and we'll do something special.
And last question from me, because I know there's a lot of people queuing up to ask questions. The tournaments have been so successful. This featherweight tournament for the men is just extraordinary, and it's going to play out in the early part of next year. How about a women's tournament, and how about at flyweight with this new champion leading the charge, and the opportunity for Ilima, once the dust settles, for her to win her belt back?
Yeah, I mean, that's something that we're going to discuss internally, but it's definitely a possibility. I've always liked, the thought of having a tournament for the ladies at 125, and we just signed a big star in Japan, and we have Liz Carmouche out there, and we have a new champion. So there's a lot of movement in our 125-pound weight class division, but I don't want to commit to that yet. That's something that we'll announce as our other tournament finishes.
Giancarlo?
Hi, Scott. Just one question for me. You brought up there about Rumble Johnson, big signing. Has he asked about fighting anyone in particular, or has there been any fighter that has requested to welcome into Bellator?
You know what? I had a short conversation with him yesterday. We didn't talk about any particular opponents, but my understanding is that he's looking forward to fighting at 205 and then eventually at heavyweight if we would need him to. But I think our 205-pound weight class is the best in the world right now, and I think that we have some great matchups for him there, and I'd like to start him in that division.
We'll take a couple more here. Keith?
Hey, Scott, it's Keith Schilling from Sure Dog. Congratulations on another great event, and happy holidays to you.
You too. Thank you.
Thanks, Scott. As I just said, it was a great event. The only negative that I saw on social media was a lot of people were complaining about the start time ending on a weekday at 12:30 on the East Coast. I'm assuming that was just because Ilima-Lei was fighting and you kind of trying to balance it with Hawaii. Is that correct? And should we get used to the earlier start times or is the latest start times going to be the norm?
You know what? Honestly, had nothing to do with Ilima Macfarlane and fighting in Hawaii. Basically, what it was that CBS Sports Network had a football game before our event, so they had something already scheduled, and we wanted to go on this date, and so we had to go after the game, and that's kind of what pushed it back. But really, it was a television scheduling issue, not a fighter issue in Hawaii. I think it did work out for the fans in Hawaii because I think Ilima went on about 7 o'clock or 6:45 in Hawaii, so they got to see it, and this is how the chips fell on this show.
Yeah, it is what it is. My last question for you, Scott. This is your last event of 2020. Obviously, it's been such a tough year for the company. It's a tough year for everybody. When you think back in 2020, how would you categorize the year for Bellator?
I'll tell you, I'm proud of my team. I'm proud of our whole company because this is not an easy task. This is not an easy ask. When you're asking your staff to stay, inside this bubble for 30, 40, 50 days, there was time here where some of our employees were here for that amount of time, not going home. Sometimes, the staff would go home, but it was a tough year. This was a grind. This was really really a test of character, I think, for our staff and the fighters and fighting in a closed environment like this without fans. Look, it is the new norm, but to me, like I said earlier, I'm looking forward to getting back to doing arena fights where we have fans, including here at the Mohegan Sun. We've always had a great attendance here, and I'm looking forward to having fans in the stands. It's just a different situation. And economically, these COVID tests are very expensive. It's a commitment. I think we had to date in the fights that we've done since July here at the Mohegan Sun, building this bubble. I think we've had 4,800 tests, COVID tests that were performed on either fighters, production staff, or our Bellator staff. So it's quite a process. I think it's a very safe environment to do these events. And that's why we're doing them, and protocol is number one. But it's been a grind, and I'm looking forward to, starting out in 2021, again, most likely in the bubble. But I do believe now with some of the breakthroughs in the vaccine, the different types of vaccines, and eventually I think that, the virus will eventually, wean its way out, and we'll be back to business as normal, hopefully sometime this year.
Last question, Donna.
Hey, Scott. I think you're probably right about the vaccine. To go a little out of left field, there's a lot of talk about Dylan Dennis and potentially fighting Jake Paul. I'm not sure how well versed you are in this YouTuber boxing world, but Jake famously likes to tell the media one thing and behind the scenes maybe do the other, and he's posted pictures of contracts that were not real. He's gone and sent people sheets of paper that say fight contract on them so that it looks like he's asking people to sign up. It's been 2 weeks now since his fight. What is the actual extent of the talks that Dylan Dennis, yourself, Paradigm are having with him about a potential boxing match?
Well, I tell you, that is a true story, and there is definitely a little bit of bad blood between those two guys, and it started, I think years ago. And I do remember there was a boxing fight that he was fighting at that, Dylan and I were going to go, and they basically told us that Dylan's not welcome there, and that they were afraid that he might cause trouble or this and that, and I said that's ridiculous. I mean, he's a professional athlete; he's not going to start trouble, But anyway, at the end of the day, he couldn't go. So, I know there's a lot of trash talking back and forth, and I did meet with. I think it was Logan and his manager last year in Miami, and we had a conversation about it. They're very interested, and I was like, well, you guys should come to MMA and train in MMA. And I know that they're talented athletes. They do have a wrestling background.
Logan's wrapped up with Floyd Mayweather at the moment.
Yeah, he's a little bit busy, but when he's done that, he can come fight Dylan Dennis in MMA. Is my point. Why do they always have to go to boxing? to me, it's like, look, maybe we can do 1-1 and make it even. But look, if Dylan wants to fight him in boxing, you know, we're not going to stand in the way. We'll definitely let it happen, and you know, that's going to be up to him. But you know, those conversations are ongoing, and they have been happening, and we'll see what happens.
All right. Thanks for the time, Scott.